Your event is starting, and we're supposedly live at this point. So, welcome to the very first ever Free Talk Live. Two firsts here tonight. The very first ever Free Talk Live YouTube exclusive show, and the first ever Free Talk Live 360 degree show. So we've been doing this talk radio program for a long time, and we added a video component many years ago, and it has
the link is not going to what you say it should go to.
No? All right, well, it's possible I screwed something up, so we're going to do some internal technical support here. It looks fine to me, Mark. I just hit the refresh button. That is our 360 feed. You are watching the 360
Where are the people?
Try moving the mouse.
Oh.
You really haven't done this before, have you?
Okay, is that why I can't see anything?
Okay, so welcome to 360. Our hosts here are learning how 360 works at the same time as we are. And it looks like my feed is... Oh, wait, no, I paused it, I think. Yeah, I think we're good. It appears as though we are on this the 360 thing. So welcome aboard. As I was saying, we've done a radio show for a long time, and now we've had a video component. It expanded. Remember back when the video in here, Mark, was that construction light up there in the corner?
Yeah.
That was light. It was like laying on the side of the desk, and it was like trying to light the studio. We went like that for I don't know how long, before I splurged on some $20 lights that you can see in the corners.
Now you can see them. I don't think these lights have been available for viewing.
Not until tonight.
Until tonight.
Right.
So just because there's the 360 going on in here, you can see the cat sleeping in the corner. But that's the first time you've really been able to see these lights.
Right.
They're okay. I mean, the room's lit up. We used to do this stuff practically in a dark room.
Yeah, they do. The lighting does their job, and so we upgraded to some good lighting, because when you're doing video, you really should have good lighting. And then let's see. So then we added a second camera, because somebody told us you got to have someone's face. You can't just have a wide shot. One of the consultants, this was what they said.
Faces. Yeah.
You got to have the face.
They really want eye contact. They want you looking at the camera.
Yeah, which is weird with this thing, because when you look at this camera, now this is the one thing you can't see, is the camera. It's the Gear 360 2017 edition, so if you want to go and look it up, you're certainly welcome to do that.
It looks like an alien Eskimo.
Yeah, so I guess what they did...
You should draw eyes on it, Ian. That way you can look at the eyes.
No, you should not draw on the camera.
Why not? It's it's a $200 camera. On the scale of cameras, it's relatively cheap.
Because the lenses are like everywhere.
But that's the thing. There's only two lenses, and so like the lenses as they are, one's kind of pointed towards you, Melanie, and by the way, Melanie, Mark, Ian. Anyway, and then the other one's pointed like at the light in the corner, but yet it shows the full faces of me and Mark, even though when I look straight at it, I'm seeing the side of the device.
Okay, so nothing that doesn't look like a lens isn't a lens.
There's only two lenses, but it covers all 360 degrees. It's a pretty cool, it's a cool technology. It's a cool gimmick. Will 360 last? Will it be an ongoing
I can't
thing?
see why not. People want to see that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the real benefit of it, I mean, it's kind of... Okay, it says we're on air again.
I'm going to refresh.
We may be back. We had a total of 3 viewers. We have a total of 3 viewers, which one of which may be me. But anyway, welcome. We've got more people in the chat room than it says are viewing. I don't know how that works. I gotta admit, I'm new to YouTube. I'm not new to YouTube. I've been putting Free Keen videos up there forever, but those are pre-produced, edited videos. New to 360 streaming for sure, and mostly during our show, we don't pay attention to the chat room. And I am seeing us here, so it appears that it
looks like it.
See, it seems like we're back.
Yeah, they said it's back.
I can't wait to listen to this to find out just how awful the audio is.
Well, it's going to be room audio, so you're going to hear the fans in the background.
Right. There's the air conditioner back there, everybody.
Conditioner.
We consider it an upgrade. That's the only air conditioner in the house.
There's some internal window units in the house, but yeah, it's the nice air conditioner. Anyway, so we were just kind of just talking about the tech. You guys are so new. You didn't even know you could move your mouse around the screen. So for those,
Well,
of
I
you
did know that. I just didn't know that it
that
started
I
on
can
something
the
blank.
mobile app.
I see. You can't do it with a mobile.
I don't know. If
Okay.
you can, I don't know how.
Turn it like this.
That might actually work. There's a possibility
I
of
doubt
that.
it.
Is it even showing you? Well, it's
You
not
got
even
nothing.
showing
No,
you
I
the
just
video.
got the yeah.
Hopefully it's not frozen again. But audio isn't too terrible, says Jared Ardrey. Liberty Bear says air conditioning is for pussies.
I'd like to talk to Liberty Bear about growing up
Vincent.
in
That's Vincent, by the way.
Bradenton, Florida, with no air conditioning. We had an attic fan. This is a 3-foot wide fan, and whenever you turn that son of a bitch on, every paper in the house would just right up into the attic. I mean, it was a living hell.
People have
Living in that
died
frickin'
of not
house.
having air conditioning. Every climate is not the same. When it's 120 degrees outside, with whatever percentage humidity is, I never paid attention to that much. But
So, it's not our talk show like it normally is. We don't have any breaks that we have to take. So, I mean, everything is different about this. There's no FCC overriding us. We've done after shows before, but they've always been talking into the mics with headphones on, doing...
Well, that's what we do, right?
continuation.
We
That's
talk
what
into
we do.
microphones.
So it's weird. It's weird to, like, sit here without headphones on, but also be doing a show.
Right, and sort of interact in a different way.
Right.
Many times we're looking at our computers or trying to find, show prep,
Yeah.
doing things that aren't looking directly at each other during the show.
Or at the camera, as you were just
Yeah.
doing a moment ago, and as I have done occasionally when I want to address the camera.
I think I would find it exhausting to try to do this level of interactivity
For
the
3
whole
hours.
time. But, not having headphones on and not having a microphone in front of me, frankly, is quite freeing.
Freeing.
Yeah.
Yep. So freeing in the way that we can say what we want, freeing in the way that we're not tangled down with cords and having to... Because when we have these mics, we have to sit right here in front of the mic. If you're over here on a mic like this, it's no good. If you even are like this turned away from the mic, it's no good. I mean, they're very, very sensitive devices, and there's a certain way you have to use them.
You can turn them up and get that kind of audio out of them, but it's never quite as good as
Yeah,
if you're
it's not-
right there on that mic.
You got to be on that sweet spot with these
Yeah.
things. So it's more freedom in that way, but it's also more restrictive, unfortunately, because the Samsung Gear 2017, as I explained during the test runs that I did over the weekend, it only has a little microphone in the device. That's it. And so that means we can't take Skype calls because that's all running through this board over here. We can't take regular phone calls. Well, actually, we have a way of taking a phone call, but it's like the most jury-rigged, crappy way you could possibly take a call is to literally put you on the speakerphone. I mean, so that's literally what we would have to do. And the amplifiers have that number. If you are a Free Talk Live amplifier, you got it in the original email, I believe, that I sent you when you came on board. So you probably have that number. You are welcome to call in on that number if you want to comment. But we're also, as I
Jared's
said...
saying it's frozen again, but it's working for me, so whatever.
Okay, well, your mileage may vary. I appreciate you keeping an eye
Refresh
on
it
over there. This is new territory. This device, this Samsung thing, this Gear 360 2017, it says in its product packaging that it can overheat. So, like, I wouldn't call this cutting edge, but for the consumer, it's pretty much a brand new thing. Like,
yeah, it's beta until Apple makes one.
we just paid, yeah, right. We just paid $200 to get into a beta with
Yeah.
Samsung here. I mean, because it's basically the software is basically broken. I mean, as you saw, it froze 10 minutes into the encoding. It's kind of fucked up. What this is, but it's interesting. It's a cool technology. It's different.
It's
So-
at least an expensive butt plug, if nothing else.
Yeah, it does look like it could do
Yeah.
that. You know what? Somebody's probably going to try that now, Mark. I mean, maybe it hasn't been done yet.
I don't
but-
think that's going to be really that interesting.
No, probably not. They,
No.
they do make cameras for
Yeah,
that.
It's
kind
not
of thing.
real clear, so you're not going to be able to see the hairs as it goes
No,
in or
no,
anything.
it's not meant for that kind of
No.
close-up stuff. But we do also have the chat room, which is another difference as well. because normally we're just so busy doing the show, we're not paying attention.
Lots of shows do the chat room thing. Free Talk Live isn't one of them.
Not talk shows on the radio.
Not on the radio, no. But lots of internet shows do. You know,
Right.
they got
Which
a
is
tech,
what we're doing right
They've
now.
got a chat group that sort of sticks with them, and
Yeah.
we haven't done much of that because, well, I just don't think we can stay up with that, and it's just not as compelling.
It's
radio.
not compelling for radio, but for a small internet stream like this, it works because we don't have a program director we have to impress.
Right.
You know, we don't have advertisers we have to impress. Comments from the chat room here. The Liberty Bear says, Mark, he grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, so he knows what it's
Yeah,
like.
but he didn't grow up without air conditioning.
Probably.
I think that was directed towards me because he said, and he went outside like a normal person.
So that's the thing with the chat. The chats. At
Oh,
least
that wasn't
every
on the
30
radio,
seconds.
was it? That was on the. I was in the amp group. on
You
the
grew up in
show.
New
I don't think
Orleans.
I
It's the
actually
same
said that in the
thing,
radio. Okay.
but you had air conditioning, right?
I definitely
Usually,
did.
yeah.
Even in that house full of children that you grew up in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, you have a bunch of siblings?
10, yeah.
Wow.
Did you guys like get
Holy
off into
shit.
factions and like go to war with each other, or was it mostly just against the
Like
parents?
Lord of the Flies.
This isn't Free Domain Radio, so.
Thank goodness. Otherwise, we'd be talking about Trump and immigrants or something
Yeah.
like that. I don't know. I haven't heard Molyneux' show in quite a long time.
Well, he
But I've
does.
heard that
He
that's
does the
case.
fascist thing, and he does the therapy thing. So.
Yeah, isn't he a nationalist now? Are you watch his show?
Yeah, I don't watch it for that, but yeah, I do watch it. I watch it for mostly the other stuff. His old stuff was really good.
Yeah.
He was
It was, yeah.
His
We had him on this
rebuttal-
show.
his rebuttal of Austin Peterson was one of the first. I think it was probably on the first day I was looking for it, but it was definitely one of the first things I watched of libertarian stuff. And his old stuff is really, really good. I don't know why he gave up or whatever happened there and got tired of it or whatever. But
Liberty
he
Bear
does-
claims he's what's necessary.
Who?
Liberty Bear,
Molyneux?
I guess.
Hey, but Molyneux was always the guy who's like, this is going to take 10,000 years and we have to breed
Right.
it out of
Fuck our way to
breed
liberty.
violence out of mankind. And
Right.
so it's like he obviously had, I don't know, maybe his kid's getting older and he doesn't want her to, like, I don't know. So his time
And he was the
preference
most
changed, like-
important thing, like, happening in the Liberty Movement. He would like
He said
say
that.
that
Yeah.
to his audience.
Right.
Like he's the most important thing happening.
And
No,
he
no,
wouldn't take
I'm speculating about what's going on in his head at this point, but he also does a lot of, like, and those videos for this are pretty separate, so you can watch, if you want to watch only one, you can, or if you want to not watch them at all, obviously. He does the, like, it's not therapy, but it's, like, talking about,
It's not therapy because he's not a licensed psychotherapist, right?
right, but he's talking
Yeah,
about,
that was a real problem too.
talking about
poor wife.
into people with,
Got
like,
roped into that.
fucked up childhoods. And,
Right, trying to get them to defoo, to leave their families and join
everybody
his,
says that.
join the Stefan Molyneux inner circle.
I've only ever heard him.
By the way, you can join our inner circle for a $100 donation right now.
I've only ever heard him tell anybody that once, and you know.
Some people do need to defoo.
And
That's D family of origin.
Yeah,
that's
and
what that means?
Yeah.
the guy who I did hear him telling that to had a very good reason, because this was a guy who got the crap beat out of him on a daily basis, all kinds of other, you know, mental abuse going on, and they now want to, and he just had a kid, and they now want to be involved with his kid, and he's still not really over it, so he's talking to Molyneux about this, and why people call it a talk show instead of go to a therapist, I don't know. But
Because it's free, right?
I
Or does he
think there- I
charge
think
people
that-
for calling now?
No,
I
it's
don't know.
free. And I think there
But you
is
could
some,
only get in if he wants you to get in.
I think there is
I
this
heard
line
about
of like, oh, I didn't see a therapist, so now I'm okay, even though you kind of did. You just also broadcast it on the
Well,
internet.
if you think calling one guy on the internet for 10 minutes or whatever, or 20 minutes.
Oh,
Well,
in
yeah,
many
and one
cases, it's like
session
40
is not
minutes.
gonna. One session
yeah,
is
it's
not
not
gonna.
going to solve your problems.
And I mean,
I don't
most
care
of
how
what
good
he
he
does is just tell people to go to therapy.
Is that right?
And the things about Molyneux is I can't say one way or the other Molyneux's good or Molyneux's bad because there's so much content.
Yeah,
that
he's got some great stuff.
There's
in
no
the past.
way that I'm going to be able to parse through it all and be able to say one way or the other. Look, Free Talk Live has the same problem. There's so much content.
Yeah,
We
10
try to
years,
keep our
15
message
years.
much more sort of clear and precise. You don't spend a lot of time sort of, dragging through this area and that area. It's all about, look, if it's voluntary, it's okay. If it's not, then it's not, right? Like that's kind of how our shtick. We have the unique selling proposition that we have a call-in show where anyone can call in and talk about anything. But you're mostly going to talk about liberty if you call in, and that's just how that's going to go. But Molyneux's been, he reaches out into particular areas. He did this K mammals and R mammals thing to talk about, and then basically, sort of made
That's
that
probably
into,
when people were calling our show about that too.
it sort of turned it into humans. Some humans are K mammals, some humans are R
I've had
mammals.
people though, and I don't think it's genetic like he does, or at least am not qualified enough to say that it is or not.
I don't know what he thinks as far as
But
genetics.
I have had people explicitly tell me which one of those kind of strategies they were going for. I have had people tell me to my face, I'm just going to have a bunch of kids and just by odds a couple of them will turn out okay.
But what's the point of that? I mean, that's expensive. That's an expensive
It's
system.
only expensive if you're paying for it yourself. And it's only expensive if you put any money to it. Part of the strategy is you have a bunch of kids, and then that's it. Like, you kind of feed them and let them live in the house, but you don't actually, invest in them at all. It's
Yeah.
kind of it's kind of like, going in...
Kids are not that freaking great that you want to have 10 of them around so that some of them will turn out.
I'm not saying this is, the good strategy. I think it's the bad one. But I think people do that, and I know some do because they tell me that they do.
Yeah.
But...
Well,
Liberty
Yes.
folks or just normal folks?
No, normies.
Oh, okay.
Your parents had 10 kids.
Yeah.
What was their strategy?
Are they Catholic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
That's their strategy.
I
Jesus.
see.
Their strategy is Mary.
Yeah.
What I did see on the internet today, since we're ripping on Molyneux or whatever, I guess...
I did promise we can get back to the 3 rules thing, but go ahead.
Okay. I saw some globe where somebody had colored in the continents. It wasn't even colored in particularly well, but sort of said, these places have the highest IQs and these places have the lowest IQs on average for indigenous people from these given areas. And of course, Europeans were at 100 because, well, Europeans made the test, right? So they decide what average is, and then I guess the Redskins are 90s, and I can't remember, the Chinese were 105 or something,
Okay.
and for whatever reason the Aboriginals from Australia were down at 60, which I can't believe for a second. That's barely able to put together life. You wouldn't probably be able to function as an adult with this kind of IQ in the 60s, but that's the claim from this some chart that I saw on the fucking internet.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was just kind of
Well,
interesting to see
a
people
regular
defend
person
this.
off the street is 100 if you're in a country where the average is 100 anyway. So 60 is 40 points below that.
Yeah,
So that's
a
kind
super dum-dum.
Yeah. 60 is non-executable in the United States.
So what was the point of that?
Well, them folks that have from over there tend to be real dumb. Is the point? I was
Point
just
of person who
reading
made
some
the
of it
map.
there. You couldn't tell these people that, hey, look, first off, presuming this map is even true, and I'm not going to presume that because I didn't see it. It looked all colored in to me. It didn't even look like a legit map. But presuming that map was true, it matters if you can... They say that it just tests IQ, but if you can't read the questions well, then how are they ever going to test the IQ, your IQ?
Well, and what about the different types of intelligence? I mean, the fact that just because somebody's book smart doesn't mean they're street smart.
How about the different types of intelligence exams? I've had them where they're just vocabulary exams. Others where you're supposed to remember what some historical figure is. I mean, if that historical figure isn't relevant to your life, you're not going to necessarily remember.
Right.
I remember on the one of test, it was administered verbally to me. I confused Louis Armstrong with Neil Armstrong. I don't know exactly. I remember now, so I learned.
Yeah.
Learning isn't what the IQ is about, right?
Yeah.
I don't put much stock in those. I've always scored quite well on IQ exams, but people who run around and talk about what their IQ is, or like people who want to run around and talk about how big their dick is, it's not particularly interesting. Actually, a big dick's probably more useful.
Well, I mean, I don't know that it's the most valid test in the world, but I think that there is a difference between... So there might not be a difference between somebody with a 100 and somebody with a 105, but I think that there's a clear difference between somebody with a 140 and somebody with a 100 and somebody with an 80. So it might be more useful for that than to be like, oh, I'm 3 points higher than you. That might not mean anything.
I'm with you.
And it might not supposed to. I can't tell if Jared is serious or not. I'm hoping he's not.
You mean his comment, you should have as many kids as possible. That increases the chance that one of them will grow up and make it big in Hollywood.
So, and see, this is kind of what's wrong with that strategy, is that doesn't actually...
It's not serious.
It's clearly a joke.
It doesn't actually... But they think that it does. Like, that doesn't actually increase your odds. If I just keep playing crappy odds, if I buy 100 Powerball tickets, that does not...
fail 100 times. Yeah.
Increase my odds of becoming a millionaire.
Right.
Whereas if I invest that $100 in one real thing,
right,
then that's kind of where I'm going to win.
Don't have kids for monetary purposes.
Bad idea.
If you want to, I mean, like every
Isn't
one
each
of them,
kid like a Porsche or something like that?
Like a fine Italian sports car. About $250,000 is what they say a kid costs. Now, I don't believe that it necessarily has to be anything like that. We don't spend that kind of money on Jack, I can assure you. What's that?
He said it's a Family Guy quote. Like, I thought it was joking, but, like, sometimes I just hope people are joking, so I think I, like, infer that.
All right, so number 2 on the list of the 3 rules I made my daughter swear to obey at college from freerangekids.com. For those of you who weren't listening to our live radio show, brief recap here. Number 1 was leave no one behind. The rule from the website foreverymom.com is, quote, no one goes to the restroom alone. No one steps outside to take a phone call alone. No one is left alone, period. And this,
if their bars are that shady, they need to go home and drink.
Yeah, it's a lot safer that way.
Well, first off, parents are terrified about colleges because media has terrified them about colleges. I mean, it's just
they
terrified.
are more dangerous. They're defense-free zones.
Right,
Sure.
where there's no guns or whatever. But, I mean, first off, I've got all kinds of advice about sending your kid to college. First, before you pay for this shit, parents, find out whether little Johnny or little Susie's prepared for college. Because if they don't know exactly what they want to do and have sold you that they are passionate on that subject, they should not be going to university.
There's a good chance that all they're going to do is get fucked up and then fail their classes anyway.
And why aren't they going for the first 2 years to the local community college? Now, I might be...
Well, it's the experience, Mark. The idea is...
Which one? The rape? Is the rape experience what we're going here for? Because that seems to be what this woman's concern is.
Yeah, and that does happen. I mean, at frat parties or whatever, but it's, as we addressed here in the number 2, which is the idea of, they say here... watch when your drink is poured, keep your hand over your drink at all times, and never leave your drink unattended. Even you, Melanie, had bought into this one, but then she points out that there was a Guardian article that says that a large analysis conducted in 2001 examined 3,303 cases of suspected drug-facilitated sexual assault in the U.S. The results suggested that the public fears about drink spiking were unjustified, with the author stating that, quote, detailed examination of the testing results does not support the contention that any single drug, apart from alcohol, can be particularly identified as a date rape drug. Alcohol is the date rape drug.
Okay, right, but you still don't want people putting random shit in your drink, whether it's effective as a date rape drug.
But the odds are they're not. That's what they're saying here. These were 3,300 suspected. There was they probably weren't putting anything in there. They were just buying her another drink.
So
or
they
him
can
another
test
drink.
these 3,300 drinks, but they can't get the frickin' rape kits off the goddamn shelves?
I don't know if they were all tested. I don't know. But I guess they did have some kind of testing results here. The Guardian quoted similar findings from studies in England, Australia, and Wales, concluding, quote, "These studies strongly suggest that the media fixation on covert drink spiking with a pill or powder is misplaced and that such acts are vanishingly rare. They show that it is alcohol that we should be wary of." And that's I mean, that seems so true, right? I mean, how many drinks does it take the average person to get past the point of no return? I mean, you should know where your point is and not even get close to it if you're going to be going out in a bar.
Right, and I mean, and I do think that there is a problem of women not knowing what their limit is, going out, having 10 vodkas, and being like, oh, somebody must have, like, okay, well, no, you had, a quart of vodka. Like,
At some point, you're going to black out. You're going to end up going home in somebody's car. You don't even know that person, and then who knows what's
but that doesn't mean that there's also, and it depends on where you. This is something that seems hyper local. Like, it's going to be one way on one building and another way down the streets. But it costs nothing to pay attention to your drinks. So
Sure, but you're going to get worse and worse at paying attention to your drink the drunker you get. Period.
They're talking about here, Jared and Liberty Bear are talking about the straws, the fingernail polish, the drink glasses that are all supposed to be able to detect
but those always
date rape drugs. And if this stuff isn't going in, then how the hell is it going to ever detect it? Is it just turn colors when ice cubes hit it, or what is it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm
definitely
definitely been
on that because any test you do is only going to test for a particular substance.
That's true.
Correct.
Which one is it? Besides alcohol, in which case it's going to turn colors.
Well, GHB has always been the supposed date rape drug, from what I understand. But I guess there's probably more than one that could.
I remember that was legal at one point, right?
I don't know. I mean, at some point, most of these drugs were legal.
Yeah.
What point that was, I don't know. But I think it's interesting. I mean, they looked at the numbers, they looked at the studies, these examples, and it's alcohol. That's the danger. That's the real danger here.
Yeah. I've definitely been in situations where if I had been female, I would have worried for me.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing bad happened to me, particularly.
Number 3 on the list of 3 rules I made my daughter swear to obey at college, from a blog over at freerangekids.com, where she's citing something from what she calls the Mamasphere, which is their website, foreverymom.com is where these came from. Number 3, never, all caps, go anywhere alone after dark. Period.
Damn.
I don't care how close you live to the library, how close the dining hall is, that you really want to go see your friends at another location, that you need cash from the ATM, or that your friends are already out and you want to meet them. If you can't find someone to go with you, you don't go.
Well, I don't know how you're gonna have a job, go to class, and buy groceries.
Right.
It is dangerous to just be wandering about a college campus after dark. Once you get back into the city that you're in, you're probably okay. I mean, don't just be, wandering around the street. But,
Maybe what
I don't know how you get anything accomplished that way.
Yeah.
I had a girlfriend who was petrified, for a brief period of time, this wasn't a long time girlfriend, for a brief period of time that was basically petrified of everything. And I suspect it's because the parents petrified her of everything.
Sure.
And, at some point I said, but you're scared of everything. She said, something, she talked about being frightened of something, but you're scared of everything. And she did not like that shit at all.
Couldn't acknowledge it, huh?
Yeah, I think probably she knew it and just didn't want anybody to tell it to her. She wanted somebody who would, protect her without, acknowledging that.
Wow.
So,
Where is she now?
I have no idea.
Yeah. And then so with the final thought from Lenore Skenazy, she writes, in reference to number 3 here, maybe what the writer meant to say is, never leave the womb. If you can't find someone to accompany you everywhere you go, in a crowd, with a flashlight, a drink tester, and a taser, just crawl back in. With your friends, that is. Leave no one behind.
See, and this isn't even advice about college. Loosely, I can make a loose argument for the last one. This is 2/3 of this is advice about how to get fucked up and not die. If I had to have a conversation with my adult child of okay, I know you're just gonna drink till you can't see, so here's how to do it and not die. I would like look at myself and wonder what in the hell I did wrong that my 22-year-old is like getting fucked up 7 days a week.
Did you not, drink heavily at some point in your youth?
Yeah,
she
for
was
like
in
a
college.
decade.
Okay. I mean, because it seems like you have great deal of disdain for the activity, but I mean, people
Right,
are
but
gonna
you
do
don't-
it,
okay,
right?
Yeah, it's so like there's a difference between like drinking recreationally and drinking like that.
Yeah.
So
one
nobody's
of the
really
reasons
drinking medicinally. So like it's recreationally and addictively. So
But what you have to drink, I mean, a lot of people come to the conclusion about how to drink by drinking poorly first. Like, oh, that's too much. I guess I better ratchet that back a bit. That didn't work out as well as I would have liked. I have puked all over my bedroom wall, which happened to me. And like
Is that what they
17.
call projectile vomiting?
I don't even know what the hell happened. I was
Yeah,
that
you weren't,
drunk.
Yeah, you were too fucked up.
I mean,
No.
you just don't drink that whole bottle of goddamn vodka, even if you
It's
can.
a bad idea.
It's a bad idea.
Every time.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bad idea.
alright, but if you're drinking that heavily for 4 years, it's not because you're trying to have fun. It's because something is wrong.
You only have to
and
drink
you
that
need to
heavily
address
once
that.
in order for what this mother's concern is to occur. And if you're, the thing is that first off, I have a problem with 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds rushing off to hang out with other 18, 19, and 20-year-olds in co-ed environments and expecting everything to go particularly well. Those, I don't think these are good ideas. First off, they're not allowed to go to bars, which bars will limit your drinking by
price.
by pricing, right? Like, you're not going to, at $5 a pop or whatever, it's not likely you're going to buy a whole bunch of drinks. Whereas
It's less likely.
if you're, pre-gaming with, a whole bunch of vodka or whatever beforehand, and then sneaking in a flask, and then, I don't know, smoking pot in the car, and then God knows what after that.
Stick to the
you're
pot,
gonna
kids.
get fucked up.
Stick to the pot.
Yeah, the pot's probably going to slow you down. So, like, do
You're
that
never
instead.
going to lose your faculties with most of the time. I mean, I guess it affects everybody differently, so your mileage may vary, but for the most part, you can smoke pot and you're not going to pass out.
Yeah, I mean, don't drive around, but, other than that, nothing bad's going to really happen.
And Liberty Bear says, and the bouncer can kick you out if you're too sloshed as well.
And then where do you go?
To
That's
a
usually
bar
when you get
that's
in trouble.
to a bar who's down with that kind of thing, because every bar is not going to cut you off and kick you out as soon as you get
That
drunk.
may be true, but they are risking a shutdown by the Liquor Commission if they don't. There was a guy in Keene at McHugh's, which is an old bar that we used to meet at. They shut down. It was a libertarian-owned bar here in town. Dude retired. He just called it quits. It was successful. He just ended it. And they got shut down for I don't know, was it a week or a month? I forget what it was. But there was some arbitrary amount of time where the Liquor Commission had come in because there was some fucking drunk guy who came in shit-faced drunk. He tried to buy a drink, and I don't remember if they served him or refused him, but either way, there was undercover cops there that night or something. And just because some guy was drunk in the bar, basically...
It's a bar.
Yeah, but they took away their ability to sell alcohol for X period of time.
I don't know. Maybe I have a skewed view of this because this would not have been I mean, they sell alcohol at their bar. It was illegal to serve people who were already drunk, but it might have been the one law in Louisiana, and nobody ever got arrested.
I
for
suspect
it.
Louisiana. Jared here is saying that Pennsylvania is significantly more strict, and I would imagine that it does vary from locale to locale. You are going to get in trouble in New Hampshire if they find out that you've got some shit-faced motherfucker in your bar. That's going to be bad news.
Yeah, Liberty Bear adds, cops sometimes get teenagers to go into liquor stores to entrap them. Yeah, my ex-girlfriend was actually approached. They brought a cop into her high school and offered to hire people to go and do these sting operations. So that's definitely a thing. They'll hire some kid that's looking to make $50, have them go in, wear a wire or whatever, and try to get served somewhere, at a convenience store or whatever.
Did you ever try this?
Did I ever try to buy
Buy alcohol
No, when I was a teenager, the night that I got so fucked up on my 17th birthday that I ended up passing out on some stranger's front porch.
And
the
didn't
cops
drink
got
again
called.
for like a decade.
Didn't drink again for 5 years after that. That night we had gone to the convenience store and hung out outside and found some dude who was willing to buy it for us.
Melanie?
The traditional method.
I was in Louisiana. I just bought it.
Just bought it. As a
It was
teenager.
easier to buy it. Ironically, it was easier to buy it in bars than at stores. So
At age 18,
yeah.
no ID check. It was just like, sir.
Sometimes they would until you just left, but like usually you just sell it to you. And then I mean, I had other issues obviously, which is why I was drinking heavily. Most of my friends were significantly older than me, so they'd just buy it if I wanted something from the store.
Right. Which is common in college, right? There's always people in college who are of age. They can easily acquire the product. And
We had one place where we could go and like get some wine coolers or something like that, but they were hit and miss as to whether or not you could. It was one of these drive-thrus. There was a time
is
when
it in
could be-
Newtown?
No, it was not.
Bradenton?
It was in Bradenton up on Cortez.
Okay.
And this was back when they had drive-through convenience stores. I don't think they really do this anymore.
There was one in Sarasota. I don't know if they're still around.
But I basically had it worked out with people at the comic book store that, hey, you bring me something from the liquor store, I will give you a discount on your comic purchase, to the, whatever. I'll make it up to you in comics, essentially, because I had credit in the store. So I would, take it off
I
my
see.
credit and, work it out with them. So they're like,
Nice.
yay,
Trading
discounted
comics
comic
for
books.
alcohol.
That's exactly what I did.
That's creative.
And up until I went to law school, when I just like drank all the alcohol, which a lot of it was state provided, which was really
State
weird.
provides alcohol? How's that happen?
They create a shell entity. No, I'm serious. They create a shell entity that they insert into the college because it's illegal for the college to buy alcohol. And so they give grants to the shell entity, and then the shell entity buys the... I am dead serious. And then the
For the
shell
law school.
entity buys the alcohol for the law school, yes.
And what, handed out?
Yeah.
The-
Drinking's a thing, apparently.
The
in law
college hands out alcohol to lawyers.
Well, it's a law
Potential
students,
lawyers.
yeah.
school.
It's crazy.
There's a keg at orientation. when
I
we,
find it hard to believe that would happen at Stetson.
when we had finals, and then the building was big, obviously, it was a law school. They sent us an email saying, like, look, because this tests were all scheduled to get out at the same time, except first year people had a different schedule that year, apparently. So, like, usually everybody knew, like, all the tests are over at 12:30, so then you can party. So they sent us an email one year, I think it was my third year, and they sent us an email and they said, look, usually tests are out by 12:30, but the 1Ls still have tests until 2:30, so until then, if y'all could get wasted on that side of the building instead of this side of the building, that'd be great.
I think you're... Which college was this?
LSU.
LSU. Wow. And that's Louisiana State University, right?
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that I'm getting clear here.
It's probably not uncommon, would be my guess.
I mean, I think people
But
usually
lawyers are
go
notorious
places
for-
other than the, like, school itself to get drunk. Like, I don't think most colleges, maybe I'm wrong, are having people, like, doing shots of absinthe on the steps of the, like, school building. They either go to the dorms or go to their house or go to the bar or something. Like, at least go to the parking lot, damn. But, like, lawyers have a really high rate of alcoholism, and, like, college students drink stupidly. So, like, if
combine
you're
the
both
two.
of those things...
DJ smoke pot.
Yeah, I definitely did that. All right, well, I'm going to call this a success. We originally...
We haven't got a test on the phone lines here yet.
I tested that over the weekend.
Somebody calling in and on speakerphone.
Yeah, me
you
and
mean?
Vincent, we
Okay.
did a test over the week. I did like 3 tests late
David
last
Fox
night.
has a Go Tigers.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I was up late. Only had like 4 hours of sleep. I'm surprisingly lucid considering I didn't sleep very much last night. But I told Melanie this would probably be no longer than a half hour, and we've gone for 45 minutes at this point. So I feel like we've talked about drinking pretty good here on the radio, or not radio. We're not on the radio. We're doing the 360, first time ever, and first time on YouTube exclusively. This is 2 firsts in one night. I think we'll do it again at some point. At what point, I don't know. Will we do a different night? I don't know. How will we change it? Because we could also do a non-360 after show as well, where we just do the cams, and then we could bring Skype in, and then we could do like, YouTube Skype with video on the Skype. We could do that too. So
we
could
don't
do
generally get a lot of YouTube participation, though. I mean, right now we've got 12 people watching or something like that, and God bless all 12 of those people. 3 of which is probably us.
Right.
I would. I don't know. I mean, is that what we wanted? Would we want to do? I mean, I'd rather have a podcast so that hundreds or thousands of people could listen to it.
Well, I mean,
we get thousands of podcast listens.
The idea. I mean, I could always rip the audio track out of this, but it'll sound like shit.
Right. Don't do that
because it's a shitty camera mic. It's a gimmick. It's an experiment. I think we could try it and see if we can get people to share it, and if we announce it better. Like today, all we did was we announced it on the AMP group early today. I announced it at the beginning of the radio show. We announced it later on in the radio show, and then like 10 minutes before, we posted it on a few different places on Facebook.
But what's really the point? What I want is, this purpose of this show wasn't to spread the ideas of liberty.
We're just shooting the shit.
Just shooting the shit, right? So the purpose of this show should be to increase the AMP, followers, that kind of thing.
Well, we had talked about doing like an AMP goal of some sort, where if we increased AMP by 5%, that we would do an after show or something like that.
Right. I think we should do, offer after shows as incentives to get, AMP, people amping and that sort of thing. I also think we should do. More those interviews that go long at events. I think we should keep one segment for the person, and then that after interview, rather than doing segment after segment after segment with the same person, we keep that after interview for amplifiers. Hey, if you want to hear more, do what they do in the Colbert Report or the Daily Show.
Yeah.
When they do that author interview, they're like, hey, there's so much more on the website. Go listen to the full interview over there. Do what they do there. Make it the freemium product and let the amplifiers get it. Because I really don't feel like there's enough perks for the amplifiers. Really what their perk is currently is helping us spread the ideas of liberty. And I think it's a great perk, but we know how far it'll go because it has gone as far as it has. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like it's a newly introduced perk, the idea of spreading the ideas of liberty. We know how much that works. There are currently thousands, at least low thousands, of libertarians that listen to Free Talk Live's podcast that do not feel convicted enough to fork over the dollars and cents to go ahead and amp the program.
Thank you.
Melanie, goodbye. I've talked her into the dirt. That's one down.
I don't like to get home past midnight.
So maybe there's some
Drive
way
safe.
that we can provide something to the amplifiers that will cause them to, pony up, not the amplifiers, excuse me, to the podcast listeners, because mostly that's where our amplifiers come from. There's been
99% of them.
Scant few radio listeners, but by God, I think we move them from the radio to the podcast, right? Podcasts are P1 audience, and then the P1s then become the subscribers.
Yeah.
And subscribers pay or whatever. And the purpose of the pay, in our case, isn't to, make paychecks or anything like that. The purpose of the pay is to get us on more stations so that we can then attain more P1s, which can then attain more subscribers, and then, the cycle continues. But it hasn't worked real well. It's a solid business plan from what I can tell, but, it hasn't worked real well. So I think what we need is more AMP perks.
Well, it's easy to say and hard to accomplish because the more stuff you
love to
have,
give things away.
The more stuff you have to do, the more time it takes, and the more difficulty there is. So I don't know. I mean, I just wanted to do this as an experiment. I think that we could do it again. I mean, because maybe some people are going to be looking for 360 video. You know, I don't know how much 360 video there is out there. I can tell you that of the YouTube channels that I subscribe to. I mean, what about you guys in the chat? You guys are obviously here listening. We're going a little bit late here. How many channels that you watch on YouTube? Because I don't know about you, but I'm subscribed to dozens of channels. Not all of them produce all the time, but
And most of them,
you know,
I'm not watching their videos.
Many of them they don't produce anymore, but I've never unsubscribed. So of
Right.
all of the YouTube channels that you watch, I mean, how many times does a 360 video pop up on your feed?
It's gotta be
For me,
rare.
it's never. It's almost never. There was Roman Atwood, who's one of the pranksters, who I don't think pranks anymore. He's just like, he just does video blogs. Like all the old pranksters that I had watched, because you brought them up tonight on the
Have
show.
gotten tired of getting bashed
Yeah.
in the face for doing dumb shit.
They're burned out on pranking, and now they're all just vlogging. They've taken their 2 million viewers or whatever. You can make fun of them. Those motherfuckers they made some serious money on YouTube.
Back when YouTube made money.
Well, right now you have to be family friendly to make money on YouTube advertising, but
Are we family friendly on YouTube advertising?
probably not. We've said fuck during the show.
Here-
And talked about alcohol.
Here on the 360, but
Yeah.
what about the show itself? I mean, generally
No,
the
we
show.
don't have any views. So
It's true.
first of all, in order to make money,
Why
on
would
YouTube-
anyone watch it? You know, like there's 6 minutes, 8 minutes sometimes of just us sitting there scratching ourselves during commercials.
Commercial breaks, yeah. Well, that's why this is different, right? So now we have the 360, which it's a gimmick, but you know it's neat. So that might be a reason why someone actually finds us, Mark, is because they might be looking for 360 videos. Of course, the question is how many people would be looking for 360 videos. I don't know. I don't know if it's a phenomenon or anything. Jared says this is the first 360 channel I've seen. Craig says never. I don't really know what a 360 video is. So Craig, here you got to try this. Apparently you haven't tried this yet. Click on the video.
Grab the screen
Yeah,
with a
little
video
hand.
screen
There's a
and
hand
turn
there.
it around.
Yep, and then you can move it with your mouse, and you can watch me, or you can watch Mark, or whatever. You can look in the corner, look down, look up. It's an interesting technology. So I mean, like you said, you know, maybe there's something we can do that's special for amplifiers. We're willing to do some stuff.
If you have any ideas, email me or Ian. Email both of us. Mark at freetalklive.com, Ian at freetalklive.com if you've got ideas on how we can make the amplifier program grow, which is what our goal is. If we can get enough people going, then we can really attain much bigger radio stations. If we can attain those much bigger radio stations, you know, it makes a world of difference. Everybody likes the idea of adding a new station that's a number. You know, up in the, but half of our stations are unrated,
Yeah.
so they just don't matter as far as radio advertising goes. The other half of them, you know, another good portion of them, their ratings are abysmal, and it doesn't count for much. When you're talking about radio stations that count, listen to our Saturday show and listen where the calls come from. They usually come from Norfolk
And Indianapolis.
and Indianapolis. That's because those are the two big stations we're on, you know,
Live. on
live.
Saturday night.
We're on in big markets on crappy little stations,
Right.
and people don't call. So, you know, even though I can claim that I'm on in New York City, we are on in the New York City Metro, but
From a
Yeah.
station outside of New Jersey.
we don't get calls from there.
We did get a call from there actually recently, but
Does-
not a whole lot.
Does Ralph in New Jersey call in from there?
No,
Yeah.
no, he's an internet listener. So let me explain a little bit behind why I thought about doing this. Because Mark, we got this new software behind the scenes for doing video mixing. It's called
Yep.
vMix. It's actually really great, and it's affordable. So we've got new software that allows us to do more, you know, cameras if we wanted to, and you know, bring in Skype video and bring in, you know, caller video and things like that. If we wanted to produce more of a video show, we could do that. Of course, it's hard to host a show and produce a show at the same time. So, you know, even though we have the ability to do it, you haven't exactly been clamoring to be the switchboard guy.
I was doing it,
operator.
and then you're like, don't do it.
No, you were doing it, and then we just stopped doing it because we just fell back into our regular.
I wasn't
way of
very
doing
good
things.
at it, I'll admit that much.
Because
but
you can't do it effectively. I can tell you this, Mark. When I was doing Cody's show, when I don't know if it was Vincent was on, but whatever night it was, Cody was doing his show, and I was doing the producer role of just switching the cams. And it was so exhausting just doing the producer role of switching like back and forth during a conversation that I ended up building one of those 2 shots where you get one person on and the other person on, just because just going back and forth while people were talking was just insane. It was just too much for me focusing 100% on producing. So it's just not possible. So that's why I thought, all right, well, let's try the 360, because then the viewer is basically the producer at that point. You get to decide what's the most interesting thing to you, rather than me sitting back here saying, oh, well, we should get Melanie's reaction, or Mark's yelling, we need to get him. You would be able to decide, and so the feedback here
is basically it's too much of a pain in the ass to turn this thing around.
well, that's one of the guys.
between
But the
two
other
of them.
guy says, I like panning back and forth, like I'm following the convo in real life. And of course, this isn't going to satisfy everyone either. Some people like to have their experience curated. They want a professional to pick the shots.
Yeah.
It's just like on the radio. Some people want somebody else to pick the songs for them. They want the DJ to decide, which never happens in radio, but
No,
in
it certainly
a club,
doesn't.
They think it does. In a club environment, the DJ's picking the songs. The listeners aren't. But some people want to pick their music, so they have their iPod or they have their musical listening device where they choose their track list. They choose the order that it plays, or what random order or whatever. And so you're never going to satisfy everybody, which is why I was saying we could do a 360 video and then we could do a produced video or something like that, if that's what the amplifiers want us to do or whatever. I like that we get to interact with the chat room. I think that's one of the things that's cool about this. We're up to 17 people watching now, Mark.
Yeah, people are watching. I mean, where are you going to find a 360 video? For those that just joined us, you can grab the screen and move it around between the two of us if that's what you wish to do.
And that was the other thing, was like, how many talk shows? So, there's the Young Turks, and there's the Leo Laporte, and, there's all these great, highly produced video shows with probably a fairly large staff, or at least probably more than we have here. With a studio and like a green screen and a computer-generated background or whatever. Like, they put a lot of effort into, and money probably, into making their productions very, very professional. I'm not saying we can reach that level anytime soon. Not that this thing would reach that level.
That thing is not going to reach this level.
But it's a different thing entirely. So my question is, how many of those big productions are using 360?
None.
I bet it's probably near to none. So maybe we have something that's unique here. How many of talk radio shows on the radio are using 360? Probably none, would be my guess. So maybe it's a niche that, whether there's a demand for that niche or not is another question, but maybe it isn't a niche worth trying to fill and see how it goes and see what the response is. It's not something we can do every night, because we're already, 3 hours is a long time to do a talk show. And now we're rolling into, another 90 minutes past the end of our show at this point. So it's an experiment. I mean, we're in the realm of experimenting with video here. And we have
Caesar
troll.
Lionheart jumps in with with a very, very
offensive.
offensive statement
word.
Because, well, Caesar's a jackass.
I'm surprised it took that long, honestly.
Yeah, it's really kind of funny.
We've been broadcasting for about an hour now.
What do you suppose Caesar is, like 13? I mean, seriously, Caesar, that's the best you got? That's really, really clever.
Well, we knew it was.
Fella.
Yeah, well, we knew that was going to happen. I mean, normally the YouTube. This was one of the things that I thought we might have to call it the Free Talk Live shit show, just because the quality's kind of shitty, and the chat room frequently is full of shitty people. Like
Caesar put up 4 swastikas.
Yeah,
Isn't he
swastikas.
clever?
Yeah. So I don't know if there's a way to ban people from the chat room, but I don't think that...
Caesar neither has what it takes to be to have been in the Nazis,
The Third Reich.
nor would he want that. With a name like Caesar, you'd have been shoveling shit, fuckhead. Like, get it? You are not an Ubermensch, dickhole. They only considered you good enough to clean out the latrines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is kind of fun we can't have during our radio
Yeah.
show because people like Caesar are in this room frequently. Every now and then I'll happen to see what the YouTube channel consists of during our regular show, and it's just people like Caesar just piling in just shit
But
on top of shit.
The kind of cool part about it is you never get a chance to really interact with a troll. Like, what
That's what I'm
Caesar doesn't understand right here, like, he's gone so far as to, post a couple of things. Like, he's getting out-trolled like a mamma jamma.
He needs backup. He needs more alt-righters.
Right, he can't do anything about it. He's just like, I got swastikas and I said the N-word. On the internet, like, he's got nothing because we can double team him. We got the camera, we got the microphones, and poor Caesar, he's out there like, but I was just trying to be clever and stuff.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not clever.
Yeah, it's not.
It's just dumb.
David Fox says he'll donate $1 if you ban him. But David, we're doing so much better by pounding him.
Now wait, isn't there a minimum? So what he's referring to is the super chat, which I saw the other night.
The hell's a super chat?
So I turned it on. So when I first was testing it, it wasn't turned on. You had to turn it on in the channel settings. Super chat is where you can pony up. Yeah, the minimum I think is $2 on the super chat. Maybe not. Maybe you can set it down to $1. I guess it starts at $1, or excuse me, it starts at $2, and then now he's making ASCII art.
Time for Caesar to go.
That's talent right there. What was that? What is that supposed to be? I figured it'd be like a swastika or something like that, but no, it's just a bunch of ugly stop signs or yield signs or whatever that is. What is that sign with the circle with the white line through it? What is that? Isn't that some sort of like...
That's a no-go. No, do not enter.
Do not enter. Yeah, that's what it is. I don't know what you're trying to tell us there, Caesar. I'm a little lost on that. But yeah, technically that's like a flood thing where if you type too much...
Oh, I just reported it as dumbass.
How do you do that?
You just... there's little dots next to each one of them, and you just...
okay.
You can just do stuff.
And now I have the ability to block his ass here.
Well, then block
if I
him.
need to. Now, one thing we can also do is we can probably add like moderators, because I think Michael Dean's actually a moderator in the Free Talk Live chat room. I don't remember adding him, but there he was. So I can probably add you in for future episodes, Mark. That way we can have multiple moderators. We can give Vincent,
I don't like moderator powers. People come to you, they're like, beseech you. Oh, great moderator!
Pass me the ring!
Ban this motherfucker! Ban him for me! I hate him! He has said mean things about my lineage, and he must die. And then you're involved, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, that really seems terrible what he said about your mom and everything. Can you prove it? And then you've got to now you're screwed because then they're in the conversation. Then they've got to come up with the evidence, but they don't have the evidence. So therefore they're shucking and jiving, and oh no, you people can have the ban hammer. We had the ban hammer when it was. You remember? Don't you remember the BBS?
Oh yeah.
I refused to be a moderator. My
So
title.
they keep coming back.
My title on the BBS was underneath the byline, underneath my Mark Edge, not a moderator. Like, I don't want that.
Remember when
moderator.
Dave from New York kept coming back after being banned by the moderators multiple times?
Yeah.
He would just keep... He didn't have anything better to do. The guy's on welfare. Of course he would say he's not, but he's on welfare, and so he's got all day. So he's got plenty of time to reset his IP address on his, reset the cable modem, reset the DSL or whatever, get a new IP, and then just go and create a new account with a fake, their fake email
Didn't
address.
that dude live in a women's shelter?
Supposedly.
How does a man live in a women's shelter? Wouldn't that trigger the ladies?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's really crazy.
That's what we need to do. We need to get Dave in here as a guest interview so we can rant and rave on our air.
You gonna pay to give him a bus ticket to get over here?
No, I didn't mean like that. Oh yeah, apparently Dave is calling Cantwell and asking for dating advice. I don't know if that's the right guy to ask.
Cantwell?
I mean, I love Cantwell and everything. I don't agree with his opinions, but I don't think he's got a girlfriend right now, so I'm not sure.
He's had a few in the recent past. He seems
has.
to be able to shuck them in.
True.
You know, I mean, if you
But
want,
isn't the point of dating to find a long-term relationship?
wait a second, you're saying there's a point in dating that you're presuming what everyone's point is?
I don't know. I'm just asking.
No, the point is whatever you want the point to be.
I see.
So if you want dating advice from me, I can give it better than these guys. I was quite successful at this until I accidentally ran across the most competent woman I'd ever met. And at that point, what are you going to do?
Apparently get married and have a kid.
Yep, apparently. I would recommend getting into some class where women are. So,
Yoga.
Yoga's a great one if you're into it.
Dance
I
class.
just went to, with Derek J. and Steven Zeiler, I dropped Laura off at the Bikram yoga class.
Yeah.
Okay. Laura found out these two boys, whom she had never met,
Really?
were doing
She never met Derek
Bikrams.
J. the whole time he lived here.
No, she never met Steven.
Okay.
I'm sorry. No, she'd seen him.
He
Anyway,
lived here at this house. For
there
like
wasn't a
2
great deal of
years.
interconnectivity
Sure.
between them.
Sure.
But basically, she
They're
found
gay. She's a straight woman.
straight woman with a kid.
Yeah.
She found out they were going to do Bikrams, and she's like, "I want to go to Bikrams," and they're like, "Oh yeah, totally Bikrams," right? And
they love that shit.
off they go. And so I dropped her off at Bikram. I paid in Bitcoin, by the way.
That's right. You
Yeah.
can do that in the Seacoast.
Derek J. and Steven managed
They
to get
scored it.
everything
Yep.
done over there in Bitcoin. And, there's hot women running around in bikinis, basically,
Wow.
sweating their butts off. And if you have something in common with these gals, then, the first thing is to be in their proximity.
Uh-huh.
If you are in the proximity of a woman long enough, sooner or later she is going to take her pants off. Like, that's what's going to happen. So, yoga class is great. Ballroom dancing is great. You figure out where the ladies are hanging out, especially if it's an interest that you have. Cultivate that interest, whatever it might be, and, be at that location. I don't do any of that stuff. I stay at home, work on a farm with pigs, go to a jiu-jitsu class, and come to a radio studio
Are
and
there
talk
any
to
women in
your
the jiu-jitsu class?
very few. They can have their pick of the single guys at the jiu-jitsu class, although
Sure.
most of the guys are married. But there's some single guys, and they can have their pick of them. This is
One of our chatters just gave his email address out in the chat room in front of Caesar Lionheart. Look out, David Fox. I don't know if I would recommend giving out emails in the the YouTube.
what difference
chat
does it
room.
make, though?
I don't know. If they want, and now a troll has your email address. What can they do with that?
I don't know.
All kinds of stuff, I suppose. They can sign you up for email lists you didn't want to sign up for instance. But I guess the spam blocks will take care of most of that. All right, I think we should wrap this up. We've been going for more than an hour at this point. We got. I would say this stream. Now I don't pay close attention to the streams on. Trying to smush somebody's camera there.
I'm just seeing if it's warm.
No, it seems to be fine. It's got a little thermometer thing. It's green over here, so it looks okay.
Okay.
It is warm.
It's
It
warm.
does get warm, but it's not overheating. It's probably more likely to overheat if you're outdoors in hot sunlight, would
Makes
be my
sense.
guess with this. So I would call this a success. I mean, we've got more than a dozen people watching, which is, I would say, it's pretty typical that we'll get a dozen people on our YouTube stream during our regular show. So we're about on par with what a regular show would be here after hours, and maybe with a little bit more promotion, a little more build up to this is going to happen, let's say next Tuesday. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but maybe we would give a week's worth of notice or something for the next one, and then build up to it, and maybe get some more participation in the chat room, because it has been fun interacting with the folks in the chat
It's nice
room.
to see them.
And being able to actually have that live thing.
Thank you to all the amplifiers who amplify the show.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank
the
you so
light's
much.
turning off, so that
That's
must
it.
mean that it's time to go.
And if you got any ideas for how we can make the show better, please mark at freetalklive.com, Ian at freetalklive.com.
Yeah, and amp the show at amp.freetalklive.com, and we'll see you tomorrow for the live radio show, and we'll let you know when we're going to do the next YouTube thing that we do, exclusive on YouTube. Feel free to share this out. See ya.